Good afternoon and welcome to Phases the Next Level. I'm your host, Invalette Sunshine, and I'm so excited to be here with Miss Connie Lavoie. Connie Lavoie is a member of the League of Women Voters, and today we are here to discuss voting. We know that voting is coming up. It's November the
November 6th
6th.
is election day.
November the 6th is election day, but the last day to register
October 12th.
October the 12th. So you guys just have a couple of more weeks to get in to vote. So Connie and I are going to sit here and we're going to visit about voting. Connie's going to fill us in today, about some of the questions that you may have around voting. So Connie, let's talk about the League of Women Voters. What do you guys do?
Well, we're a nonprofit and we're made of volunteers and we're nonpartisan.
Which
so
means
we
what
don't ever support a political candidate or a particular party.
Okay.
There are times when the league takes a position on an issue after they study it, and it might be something like the environment or we're always pro voting rights and against voting suppression.
Yes.
And because my mission and my position on the board, we're basically what we want to do is help make democracy work.
Absolutely.
We want to be of help in that. So what I do is voter services and education. So we go to where people are to help them get ready to vote, so they can register to vote, so they can get information about voting, or maybe sometimes they just need to update their registration if they've moved or they've changed their name, or they want to change their political party. So all of that can be done in less than 5 minutes.
So this was timely. This interview was timely.
Yeah.
I reached out to Connie and I knew that voting was, it's time for elections and we need to get people in to get registered or either to update their registration because maybe it's expired or exactly about the moving. Absolutely. So let's just talk about these things. The first thing I want to talk about is how important it is to vote. What is your take on that?
Well, of course, I think it's important because I'm spending a lot of my time on this. Your vote is your voice. A friend of mine just the other day told this story about she was visiting with a young woman. She's like, well, why do I need to vote? It doesn't make any difference. And so my friend Jerry said to her, well, I'm going to buy you a pair of shoes. And I'll decide what kind, and you'll have to wear those for 2 years. And the young woman goes, what? What are you talking about?
A good example. I get that. I'm getting that.
Yeah, it took me a while to get it. And Jerry said, well, if you don't vote, you're letting other people decide for you. And of course, people will say, well, it's only one vote, But, every single movement has started with just a few people. And it can make a difference. It certainly won't be helpful to you being represented if you're opting out.
Right.
So I think especially now there's just so much division in the country and there's so much going on. We are seeing more interest in people getting ready to vote, but we also have information about what's going to be on the ballot so that people can sort that out.
So this is good because I need to tell you a story too. I've had people come and say to me well, even if I vote, it's not going to matter. My party's not going to win or this person's not going to win. But what if that party needed one more vote and because you didn't, they didn't, win the election. So that's how important your voice is to be heard and your vote is.
And you don't really know. It's like a lot of other things. You kind of go on faith. If I do the right thing, at least I know that I'm doing my part.
Exactly.
And one thing that I learned only a few years ago, and I've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years, registering voters, was that politicians, when they're running for office and they're calling people, or they have people calling and or they're knocking on doors or whatever, they get the voter rolls from the election board. They know who voted. They don't know how you voted, and they're only interested in talking to people who vote.
Right.
So really, you're kind of invisible. Your opinions, your ideas, what's important to you. If a lot of people don't register and don't vote, it's like they're invisible.
Right.
And because politicians frankly care about being elected or reelected.
That's
right?
absolutely true. And we always say that your voice matters, your opinions matter. And if we're telling you that, then we want you to activate that. Go ahead and go out and vote. Go ahead and get more information to know why you're voting and why it's important.
I understand, because I haven't always been like the best voter. When I was young, I always voted for president, but I usually didn't do much more than that. And I didn't necessarily spend a lot of time studying it or thinking about it. We want to make it easier for people, and we are soon going to have a voter guide that will help with that. And we hope to have it in the next week or two, and it'll just make it easier to figure out. Like, there'll be lots of elections. There'll also be state questions, and those can be particularly confusing.
I get that.
So, but it's like anything else. If you don't know much about it, and maybe you think you should know, but you don't, then you might just kind of avoid it. And I totally get that. I also understand how people feel disillusioned. I always say that sometimes people feel disillusioned and disgusted, basically, with politics and what's happening in our country. But I just think that, doing nothing is probably not helping any, and maybe hurting. So I don't like to preach at people, and we never ever try to influence how somebody's going to register or vote. We're totally neutral in that. We're just focused on the process of getting people ready to get involved with democracy.
And I like that. I feel like when you don't know, you just don't know. But when you know better, then you can do better, right?
And even just learning a little bit will make you feel more comfortable.
Right, it'll make you feel more comfortable. So then, I'm sorry.
Well, like when people, like I said, it takes less than 5 minutes. And we're going to be at several places in the community we can talk about before we leave. Yes. Where we will just be there where people go, where people are, so that it makes it more convenient for them to register or change their registration. And I like to tell people what to expect, especially new voters. Okay, here's what's going to happen after you fill this out. We're going to turn it into the state election board. Within 30 days, you're going to get your voter ID card. And it's going to be a little white card. It's going to tell you where to go to vote. That's your polling place.
I got mine.
Yeah. But when you go to vote, you can use that voter ID card to vote, or you can use a government-issued photo ID, like a driver's license is what most people use.
So pretty much what Connie is stating, that if you don't have that little white card that they send you, it's okay. Still go, but take your state-issued, government-issued ID.
And for most people, they have their driver's license with them. So that's what they use.
That's easier.
Now, different states are different, but I just know about Oklahoma.
Okay. And that's pretty much what we're trying to reach out to. So let's talk about the voting ballot. Where there's going to be a lot of different, like you said, state questions and, of course, the other main elections. What about the ballot do they need to know that you can share?
Well, it's really helpful if you have a chance to get a look at it beforehand. It makes you more comfortable. And you can find that going online you just can Google the State Election Board. I'm thinking that we're going to have that in our voter guide, at least for the state questions, because sometimes it's worded in legalese. And in the voter guide, we state how it's going to look on the ballot, and then we paraphrase it in layman's terms, so people can understand it better. And then we have pro and con. We have arguments for and against this state question. That's the thing that people really found valuable last time.
So that's what will be in the guide?
That and about candidates. And just about the process of voting.
Because I'm glad to hear that, because when I go to vote, I always struggle with those state questions. Well, I don't know. Some people say, well, vote yes for this, or vote no on this state question. And I'm like, what do I really care about, and what do I need to be voting for? Because I don't want to go.
Sometimes you don't know.
And I'm for it, and I vote against it because I didn't know.
Yeah, and I've had that situation where I really didn't know, and I usually decide I just skip that one. One time somebody asked me just recently, like, well, if I skip one, will my other votes still count? And yes,
Okay.
they do. You
Good
can skip
question
it.
and
If you
answer.
don't feel comfortable voting on it, you don't have to vote
So you
on that
can
one
skip it.
thing. You can skip it and just vote on the things that you have made a decision or you feel more comfortable about.
This is good.
And that when we're here in Bartlesville in Washington County, they give you a it's kind of like cardboard ballot, and you go and you actually fill it in with a pen, I think, and they have it there,
Right.
and then you just put it in a machine, and that's
And
it.
that's it. Your vote
It
is
doesn't
done.
take very long to vote either, and we have early voting here,
Yes.
so you don't have to vote right on November 6th. Election day is always on a Tuesday, but that's not always convenient.
That's right.
So our election board lets you go down to the courthouse where the election board is, and you can vote on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday morning. And it'll be in the newspaper. They
was
will
gonna say-
have that in the newspaper, and they'll probably have it in things like the Sunrise Reporter and on the radio.
Okay.
They'll be talking about
Good.
it. I like to go vote early because the lines are, there's hardly any
I
lines.
do. I love early voting.
Yeah.
I do
You
because
do
it's
that
easy.
too?
Yeah, it's simple.
It is.
So is early voting just at the courthouse only, or is it in just so
It's at
you
the
would only
courthouse.
have to only be able to go to the courthouse to do early voting?
Right,
Okay.
right.
Let's talk about if you've moved from out of state, because we actually I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
back from Texas for a year, but when I went to Texas from Oklahoma and it was getting close to voting, I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So it's a
Right.
process. So let's talk
Yeah.
about moving from out of state into
Okay.
Oklahoma, how it
Well,
works.
the same form that we use to register people for the first time is the one we can use to change your address. So you move from Texas to Oklahoma, so you just fill it out. You put in your new address, and then there's a place where you put in where you moved from. They will contact the election board where you came
Right.
from.
Okay.
And it's the same form. And in some cases you can actually, you don't really need the League of Women Voters to do this. We
Right.
just try to be helpful. But you can go online and pull up a registration form. You can't fill it out online, but you can print it
You have
out
to print it.
and fill it in, and you can mail it in, or you can take it to the election board at the
Okay.
Washington County Courthouse. And you can also find those forms at the post office and at tag
Good
agencies
information.
and at the library. So we're not necessary to the process. We just like to be helpful to the process.
Well, I have to say, a couple of years ago, we did Juneteenth celebration. I think it was like our first year doing it. And we contacted the Women League of Voters. And we were so excited because we needed people in our area, in our circles, to be out there and just to kind of show and share. So we appreciated that for you guys to be out there, which is how we got back in contact. So what else do we need to know as far as voting? Because you mentioned about changing your name, and I think that's important.
Yes, if you get married or you're just changing your name for another reason, yes, you need to update your registration. If you've already registered, you need to change it. If you've moved, you need to change it because your polling place is going to be near where you live. And now, if you have moved and you don't get it changed before this election, you can go to your old polling place if you live in Bartlesville, but it's really good to go ahead then and update it. And it's really a very short form. And when we're, for example, we're going to be at the library for 2 days this week.
Good. So this week coming up? Okay.
We're going to be there Wednesday and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. We'll be right in the lobby as you come in.
Okay.
And people can just take care of it right there. And then after they fill it out, the next morning we'll take it to the courthouse, and then it'll be processed. And or you can always mail it in if you want to, but then it's done.
So once they come to visit you guys at the library, they fill it out. You guys will go submit it for them at the courthouse.
I'll just submit all of them at one time.
That's very good. That's good to know. So this week, what days?
Wednesday and Thursday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Bartlesville Public Library.
Okay.
And we've also got some other places where we're going to be this week because Tuesday is National Voter Registration Day.
So this Tuesday, National Voter Registration Day.
We're going to be at the high school.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much all day. And we've been visiting the government classes. All seniors have to take government.
Yes.
And we visit the government classes, talk a little bit about the history of voting and the League of Women Voters, and then a lot about why you should vote and what the process is like. And then we have a table right outside the classroom so that the students who are 18 can go ahead and get registered right then if they want to.
Now, I read something that said that if they're not quite 18 yet, then at 17 they can go ahead and prepare to get registered, and they'll automatically be registered when they turn 18.
Okay.
How does that work?
That's close.
Okay.
Right now, if you're going to be 18 by November 6th, right now, if you're already you're 17, but you're going to be 18 like November 5th or November 6th, you can go ahead and register. You can only register before you're 18 when there is an election and within 2 months.
Got it.
But so now, just thinking about this election, if somebody's 17 but they're going to be 18 by November 6th, they can go ahead and get registered.
Got it.
It just only in election, only in election years, because they want you to be able to vote when you're eligible.
Right.
So they let you apply early because it needs that time to be processed.
Right. Okay, good. So
That's
then,
a good question.
Yeah. So then, the next question I'd like to ask is, I just people want to know about how they pick the party.
Oh, that's a good one.
So like if should I be a Democrat? Should I be a Republican? Should I be independent or something else?
Yeah.
How do you tell them? Because we don't want to say, well, you need to be a Democrat or you need to be. What do you tell people?
Okay. So if they're a new voter, especially, this is when they might be wondering about that. You have on the form, it's going to have a place for Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, and the one that says other, but that's the same thing as independent.
Independent, yes.
And you can even put, if there's another party that's not listed, you can write that in under other. And I can't really answer people's questions about how to make that decision, except I always want to make sure that they understand that, say, if you register as a Republican, you can vote in the Republican primary. That's where they're choosing who their candidate's going to be.
Okay.
And if you're not a Republican, you don't have a say in that. That's what happened in June, when they were choosing their candidates. If it's a little tricky, because Republicans, you have to be a Republican to vote in the primary. Democrats let independents vote in their primary, as well as the Democrats.
So can I ask a question right there?
Yeah.
So it's the Democrats' choice to allow the independents to vote. So if the Republicans wanted to choose to do that, they could do that?
Because what happened was a couple of years ago, the Democrats decided they wanted to let independents vote. They had to apply to the state and say, we want to do this, and the state approved it.
Okay.
The Republicans did not apply to the state to do that. And I can't really tell people about what is a Libertarian, what is a Democrat, what is a Republican. That's something that they're going to have to find out for themselves. But you could do that by Googling or talking to your friends, talking to your family. Find out what people who you respect, have conversations with them, and see how your ideas match up with theirs. Also, this voter guide, I think, will help with
That's going to be amazing.
We're going to have copies at the library.
Okay.
And it's going to be online. Okay. And we'll have something as soon as I find out when they get here. I will put out a news release to the newspaper and to the Sunrise Reporter and Cable One message board and every place I can think of to let people know. And they will be probably back when you go in the library, the back is the reference. They'll be in that area in the reference material.
This is good information. Okay, so Connie, tell me, if you can, the places that you're going to be. So are you going to do this up until October the 12th?
Well, I'll just tell you about the events that we have.
Let's do that.
Okay. Tuesday's National Voter Registration Day. We'll be at the high school that day.
Okay.
I have another league member, Vanessa Drummond, will be with me. And it's always fun to go to the high school and talk to young people. Wednesday, the Bartlesville Public Library, and we'll also be at Tri-County Technology Center. Yes. We're also going to be at Green Country Village.
Yay, okay.
Because they invited us to come.
Oh, good.
When you think about it, everybody who lives there had to move from someplace else. And the older generation are very conscientious about voting, and it's very inspiring, really.
And I believe that, and that is so good of the League of Women Voters, because you go to them, and they don't have to have the hassle of getting out, trying to get out or get a ride or somebody to help them. So we commend you for that.
We go there and we spend some time in assisted living, and then we move over to independent living. So that's Wednesday. Thursday, we're back at the library, and we're also at Rogers State University in their lobby. Anybody who walks by, whether they work in that building or they're students going to class or professors or whatever, will be there. Public can come in. And then after that, we're going to be, we'll be back at the high school on October 4th, I believe. No, October 9th.
Okay.
And on October 4th, we're going to be, that's one of the days we'll be at Green Country frequently. I'm sorry, my head is spinning.
It's good. This
all
is
of
good.
the events.
Yes, that's right. It's
and then we're going to be running out of time because October 9th will be just 3 days before the deadline. But we do this every fall and every spring. And also, if someone wants us to come to their organization, and where they're going to have people there already, we love to do that. We've been to there was a Pride picnic recently. They asked us to go. We've been to Greater First Baptist. We've been to Westside Community Center.
Yes.
And I'm very pleased to be asked to come because we want to do this. This is our mission.
Yeah, so I was so hoping that you guys could come to our event on the 13th, but we will have missed registration on the 13th because that's a Saturday, and just miss it because it was the 12th is the deadline. But we'll take the information.
I think the other time I came, it was not Easter. I think it was maybe Palm Sunday, and there was a big dinner, and so. That seemed like a good time, and it was. It was really great to be
at Greater First Baptist.
Yeah, Greater First Baptist, right after the service.
Yes.
And then I just had a little space where I could work, and people came in and registered, and some people registered for the first time, and some updated. I remember there were a couple of young people who were getting ready to go to college, and there was some. I've met people who have been not young and they've never voted.
Yeah.
I get very excited about registering new voters, no matter what their age.
Yes.
Because, and I think sometimes we're just so busy with our life and we have so many challenges that's just that's a thought that I've got to deal with reality here. I've got to deal with what I have to do. So I totally understand how that can happen.
And so I'm glad. That's why Phases the Next Level is here with you, because we want to remind everybody. But I wanted to get the information out to them.
Right.
There's one particular topic that I wanted to discuss.
Okay.
People that have been to prison.
Okay.
And think that they can't vote. Now, there are stipulations, but some of those people can vote, and their voices matter.
Right.
And they need to know. Can you share with us about that?
And people, I mean, sometimes you just don't know, and you just it's kind of awkward. You don't even know who to ask or whatever.
Or embarrassed to ask because I've been to prison and I don't know.
We've had people come in and they're not sure. And the election board can really help with that. Just call the election board here, and because every situation is different. But basically, it has to do with after you have served your time. Then you get that privilege back to vote. You don't lose it forever.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think
also what I'd like to add to that, you complete all your time, and all of your fines are paid. They must be paid.
Right. Just
or
all
if
of your obligations.
All your obligations have to be completed by then. But after that, you can vote.
Just come and register, just like if we were at the library and you came in, and then we would help you with your registration. But if you're not sure whether you fulfilled all that, the election board, they're the experts on it. So I always give their number.
I was going to say, can we share that number?
I have it over here. I can.
You can grab it. If you can. If it's close. If not, we can. make sure people
I'm going to
can.
let you read it because I
Okay.
don't have my glasses.
Okay, good. So
And
the
it's this one right here.
Okay,
The
good.
Washington County Election Board.
So we're going to give you the information to the Washington County Election Board if you have any questions, especially for particular. We were talking about those that have been to prison and they want to know what their rights are as far as voting. So the office hours are from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and the office number is 918-337-2850. And so you guys, if you have any questions, you can call the election board.
And they're very happy to answer your questions.
Good.
I sometimes call them if a question comes up and I'm not absolutely sure about it, or maybe somebody's there and they're registering and I can dial it for them and give them the
Good,
phone and they
yes.
can ask the question, or they can go home and make
And
the
find
phone
it.
call and have more privacy. But like when we were at Green Country Village, people were coming up in their wheelchairs. And and sometimes they would say, I don't remember if I updated my registration. I had the number on my phone and I could dial it and say, I've got somebody has a question, hand them the phone, they ask the question.
That's amazing.
Because they can tell you, they can check and see
Yeah.
if you're registered.
When does your voter, okay, let's back up. How long is the voter registration good for before it expires?
If you vote, if you vote and you keep voting, it's never going to expire.
So no expiration.
But here's the thing: if somebody has registered a long time ago and they haven't voted for whatever reason, and years go by, the election board will try to contact you. But say you've moved or whatever, they'll try to send you something saying, "Hey, you need to vote, or you need to let us know if you're still there." They will drop you off the rolls after a while. So, but honestly, I think that if you're not sure, there is no downside to going ahead and filling it out.
Yeah, right.
Really.
Right.
I mean, it's just a few minutes.
And if
of
you
your
have,
time.
fine.
They're
And
not
if
going
not,
to say anything against you
Yeah.
if you're already registered.
Yeah.
Then they'll just be like, oh, okay, they're already registered.
yeah, I like that.
So-
Too much is. I'd rather have too much than not enough.
I mean, there's no penalty for doing that.
Yes.
But I just put people's minds at rest when that day I must have dialed the election board like 5 or 6 times because I understand, because I'm having trouble with my memory and, I'm not there yet,
Right.
but I'm getting there.
Right.
And you may just not remember. Gosh, I can't remember
Yeah.
if I changed it when I moved or not. You have
Right.
so many things going on too when you're moving
Yeah.
or just life.
Yeah, and unfortunately, voting tends to be put to the back burner when you have everything else going on in life.
Of course.
Sometimes I'll get to it, and it keeps
Right.
getting
It's
pushed
easy to put
further
off.
and further back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is why we want to do this and make people aware that.
And
Go-
and these events are going on all over the country.
Yes.
National Voter Registration Day, we registered as a partner. There's just like all over the country on the same day. We're calling attention to the fact that this is a good time to
Yes.
do it.
Yes.
Just do it and get it done, and then you can kind of pay attention to what's going on and maybe think about how you want to vote. Give you a
Right.
little time to do that.
This is good, Connie. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate the
So we're
opportunity.
yes, absolutely. So as we wrap up, is there anything that you want to leave with the voters of Oklahoma, Bartlesville particularly? We want to get our people out. What is important to you to share?
Well, I'd like to share that what happened in June, when a lot of people got energized to vote, especially through PEAK, the public education advocates for kids. That organization in our own community made a difference. They made a difference in the elections. They made a difference in getting teachers pay raises, which we desperately needed.
Yes.
Our children need to have teachers where we can choose the best teachers,
Yes.
because honestly, when you can't pay and all the states around you are paying more, that's an example of how citizens really made a difference. And so I'd like people to just realize that yes, you can make a difference. And and in Oklahoma we have a pretty low turnout for voting, but not unlike a lot of other states. But when you think about it, whatever you believe in and whatever you think is important, if enough people who felt like you do voted, they could turn the tide.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yes.
make a huge difference,
It would make a
whatever
difference.
the issue is.
Yeah.
And we never tell people how to vote ever.
Right.
So it's just, if you think you can't do anything, you won't if you don't do anything. And if you think you might, just do your part. That's all.
Just do
you
your
can't
part.
do
'Cause
more than that.
And you can't. Yeah, that's it. You can only do your part. And so, and then, there's a lot of talk about how they feel about what's going on these days. Then, if you care that much about it to have discussions about it, then let's get out and vote,
Right.
so that we can make a difference.
Yeah.
So that we can make a
I'm
difference.
hopeful. I think right now there's an opportunity. People are more open because they're concerned.
They're concerned,
Yeah.
and rightfully so.
Yeah.
I think. Well, I appreciate you, Connie. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
that we crossed paths again.
Me too.
And hopefully next year, Phases the Next Level, will be looking you up again.
I'll try to be looking at
wherever.
that June. Give me
Yeah.
that Juneteenth date.
Yeah,
early.
so Juneteenth, I'm not sure about Juneteenth anymore because I've kind of
Okay.
moved on, but we'll get all that information to you.
Okay.
But wherever I am and any events that
Okay.
I'm in, I'll definitely be having
Right.
you to come and set up if you're available at that
Right.
time.
Thanks so
Okay.
much.
Well,
Appreciate it.
enjoy your Sunday, and I appreciate you
Okay.
guys.
Me too. I appreciate you.
Thank you. You guys, thank you so much for joining Phases the Next Level. Get out and rock the vote. Have a good day. Say your prayers.